She signed the divorce papers with steady hands, silent, not a word between them. And then, without a second glance, she bought the estate. His family's estate. The one he swore would always be his. Why did she do it? Was it about revenge, or was it something else? Drop your thoughts in the comments below. And if you think this is just the beginning of a powerful story, hit that subscribe button. The air in the law office felt thick. Catherine sat across from him, her fingers tapping lightly on the cold metal table. The papers were already in front of her, neatly stacked, just waiting for her signature. Nathaniel sat next to her, his face unreadable, eyes staring at the floor. This wasn't the first time they'd been in a room together since their marriage started to fall apart, but it felt different this time. This time, there was no going back. Catherine glanced at him, but he didn't look up. Not once. He never did anymore. The silence between them stretched long, and for a moment, it felt like it was swallowing them both. This was it. This was the end. She could hear the sound of her heartbeat in her ears. She had never imagined signing the divorce papers would feel this way. It wasn't anger. It wasn't sadness. It was just empty. Nathaniel's lawyer cleared his throat, trying to fill the silence. "Mrs. Kincaid?" he asked, voice polite but formal. Catherine lifted the pen. She knew what she had to do. She'd known for a long time. But still, the weight of the decision felt suffocating. Her fingers hovered over the line. Nathaniel was still staring at the floor, his jaw tight. He had nothing left to say. They had said it all months ago, when the fight started, when the words stopped meaning anything, when the silence became their constant companion. She signed the papers. The click of the pen was the loudest sound in the room. She didn't look at Nathaniel as she slid the papers back toward the lawyer. There was nothing left to say. The lawyer seemed to sense it. He picked up the papers, his eyes moving between them. "That's it then," he said softly. "It's done." For a second, Catherine thought Nathaniel would finally speak, that maybe he would fight, say something, anything. But he didn't. He just stared at his hands. His life had been stripped away from him, and he was too proud to admit how much it hurt. But then came the moment she hadn't prepared for. Without a word, Catherine stood up from the table. Nathaniel didn't even look up as she grabbed her bag and headed for the door. The lawyer called after her, but she was already gone. The drive out of the city was quiet. Catherine's fingers gripped the wheel tightly, her mind racing through 1,000 thoughts. The divorce was final, but it didn't feel like freedom. It didn't feel like anything. She had spent the last few months preparing for this moment, and yet now that it was here, the feeling was hollow. There was no relief, no satisfaction. She reached for her phone and scrolled through the messages, the ones from her lawyer. She had been waiting for the official confirmation, waiting for the moment she could finally do what she had been planning. The estate was still up for sale. It had been on the market for months, but Nathaniel hadn't wanted to sell it. It had been in his family for generations, his pride, his inheritance. The thought of losing it felt like a death to him. But Catherine knew that she couldn't live the rest of her life in the shadow of that house. It was a reminder of everything she had given up, everything she had sacrificed. And it wasn't just a house to her. It was a symbol of the control Nathaniel had over her, of the years she'd spent trying to please him, of the pieces of herself she'd lost along the way. She pressed the button to call her lawyer. "Karen," she said, voice steady but tight. "I want to make an offer on the estate. The full asking price." There was a long pause on the other end of the line. "Catherine, are you sure about this? It's not a simple purchase." "I'm sure," she replied. "Make it happen." She ended the call and pulled into the parking lot of a small cafe, the place she always came when she needed a moment to breathe. It was familiar warm, nothing like the cold, oppressive air of the law office or the estate. It was a place she could finally feel like herself. Her fingers shook as she picked up the coffee cup, the steam rising from the surface. She had made a decision that could change everything, and the weight of it hit her all at once. Buying the estate wasn't just about getting revenge on Nathaniel. It wasn't just about claiming ownership of something he held dear. It was about taking back control. Reclaiming something for herself, something that had been lost a long time ago. The sun was starting to dip lower in the sky as Catherine sat there, lost in her thoughts. She felt a twinge of guilt, but quickly pushed it aside. She had lived in the shadow of Nathaniel's family for years. The estate had been his inheritance, his legacy, his pride, and for all that time, it had never been hers. She had never been able to carve out her own identity, her own place in their world. But now, she was doing something for herself. She was taking back her life. Her phone buzzed again. Another message from Nathaniel. But she didn't look at it. She didn't need to. She had signed the divorce papers. And now, she was taking the estate. Was this a chance for Catherine to rebuild? Or had she just started a war that would destroy everything? Her phone buzzed again. She didn't pick it up. Instead, she stared out at the setting sun, feeling something shift inside her, a weight lifting, a door closing. But the next chapter of her life? That door was just beginning to open. But what would Nathaniel do now? And what price would Catherine have to pay for taking back control? Nathaniel's eyes were glued to the letter in his hand. He read it twice, then a third time, as if the words would somehow change. But they didn't. She bought it, he whispered, shaking his head. She bought the damn estate. Why did she buy it? Was it really just about revenge, or was there something deeper at play? Tell me your thoughts in the comments below. And if you think this story is far from over, hit that subscribe button so you don't miss what happens next. Nathaniel leaned back in his chair, his fingers still clutching the letter from the real estate agent. His mind couldn't make sense of what was happening. Catherine had done it. She had gone ahead and bought his family's estate, the house that had been in his family for generations, the place where his childhood memories lived, the symbol of everything he had worked for. He'd never thought she would. But somehow, he wasn't surprised. He stood up and paced around the room. His office, usually a place of calm, now felt suffocating. He couldn't breathe. The thought of Catherine owning that house, controlling it, it felt like a betrayal. Like she had taken something sacred from him. But that wasn't the worst part. The worst part was that he didn't know why she did it. It wasn't like her to make a move without an agenda. It wasn't like her to be so bold. The Catherine he had known, the woman he had married, was never one to rock the boat. But this was different. A few days later, Nathaniel stood outside the family estate, the place he had always called home. It looked the same, but it felt different now. There was something off about it, something that unsettled him deep inside. He could hear the sound of footsteps on the gravel as Catherine approached. She was walking toward him, calm and composed, like she had all the time in the world. Her eyes met his, but there was no trace of emotion in her expression. She had done it. She had claimed this place. Why, Catherine? Nathaniel's voice cracked as he spoke. Why buy it? You know what it means to me. She stopped a few feet away from him. The distance between them felt miles wide. The same distance they had put between themselves over the years, until there was nothing left to bridge it. I didn't buy it to hurt you, she said, her voice steady. I bought it because it was the only thing left for me to claim. After everything, Nathaniel, it was the one thing I could take back. He stared at her, confused. What does that even mean? It means, she began, taking a slow breath, that I was always in your shadow. Always fighting for something that wasn't mine, something you never allowed me to have. You and your family, this place, has always come first. I was never given a choice in any of it. Nathaniel felt a pang in his chest. He knew she had felt overshadowed, that his family and his legacy had always been a priority. But hearing her say it out loud made it all feel too real, too painful. He didn't want to believe it. He couldn't. Don't do this, Catherine, Nathaniel said, his voice lower now, almost pleading. You've already taken everything from me. You're not going to take this too. She raised an eyebrow, a flicker of something, defiance maybe, dancing across her face. What, Nathaniel? You think it was all yours? That it was always meant to be yours? You never asked if I wanted a part of this. You never asked if I had my own dreams, my own goals. You just assumed I was okay with the life you built for us. Nathaniel's breath hitched. He had never thought of it that way, not until now. She was right. He had assumed that she was content, that everything he did, everything he built, was enough. But it wasn't. It never had been. I never wanted this, he said quietly, shaking his head. I never wanted you to feel like this. Catherine looked at him, eyes unreadable. Well, it's too late now, Nathaniel. The papers are signed. The estate is mine. Nathaniel's heart raced as he realized what he was up against. He wasn't just losing a home. He was losing her. But was it too late to make things right? He reached for her, as if to stop her, but she turned and walked away. The soft click of the gate closing behind her was the sound of the last door between them shutting. Nathaniel stood there, alone. He had always thought he could fix things with Catherine, but now, he wasn't so sure. As he stared at the house, now out of his reach, he realized one thing for sure: he wasn't the only one who had something to lose. But how far would Catherine go to rebuild what she had lost? And could Nathaniel find a way to win back what he had taken for granted? Catherine stood in the grand foyer of the estate, feeling the weight of her decision. She wasn't sure if she was taking back control, or losing herself in the process. Nathaniel's voice echoed in her mind. "You're making a mistake." But maybe it wasn't a mistake at all. What do you think? Was Catherine's move a reclaiming of power, or was she just running away from the past? Let me know your thoughts in the comments below. And if you're curious to see how it all unravels, don't forget to subscribe. Catherine hadn't expected the estate to feel so empty. As soon as she stepped inside, she felt the ghosts of the past brushing against her, reminding her of every moment she had tried to escape. The chandelier above her cast shadows on the floor, and the cold marble echoed under her boots. It was beautiful, yes, but it wasn't home. It never had been. She wandered through the grand hallways, her mind a whirlwind. There was no going back now. She had the keys. The deed was in her name. But what did it all mean? What was she supposed to do here? This place had been the root of her pain for so long. It had always been a symbol of what she didn't have, what she could never touch. Now, it was hers. But Nathaniel's words were still ringing in her head, a constant reminder of what she was walking away from. "You're making a mistake," he'd said when she left him for the last time. But Catherine didn't feel like she was making a mistake. She was doing something she had to do, for herself. A part of her wished it had been different. She wished their marriage had worked out, that they could have built a life that was truly theirs. But the truth was, they never had a chance. Nathaniel was always in the shadow of his family, and she was always left trying to play the role of the supportive wife, the silent partner. She never got to have a voice. Now, she had a voice. But what would she say with it? The sound of the front door opening echoed through the halls, pulling Catherine out of her thoughts. She turned to see Nathaniel standing in the doorway. His face was a mask, anger, confusion, and something else she couldn't quite read. "Did you come to gloat?" he asked, his tone cold. Catherine stood her ground, not backing down. "No," she said quietly. "I came to see if I could make peace with this place. With everything." Nathaniel took a step inside, looking around the grand foyer, as if seeing it for the first time. "This was never going to be enough for you, Catherine," he said, voice low. "You think buying this place will fix what's broken?" She shook her head. "No. But it will give me a chance to start over. To finally have something that's mine." Nathaniel's jaw tightened. "You could have left and moved on, but you chose this place, this house. Why? Why make it harder for both of us?" Catherine took a breath, her gaze steady. "I didn't buy this house to hurt you, Nathaniel. I bought it to free myself. To take something back that I should have had all along." He laughed bitterly. "Take something back? You can't take back what was never yours. Not truly." The word stung, but Catherine didn't flinch. She was past flinching. "Maybe it wasn't mine before, but it is now." She felt the weight of the truth in her chest. "I'm not trying to hurt you. I'm trying to move forward." Nathaniel's eyes softened for a moment, but then the anger crept back in. "You're deluding yourself. This isn't freedom, Catherine. This is just another cage. And you're walking right into it." For the first time, Catherine hesitated. His words sank in deeper than she cared to admit. Was she just walking into another trap? Had she really made the right choice? But before she could respond, Nathaniel turned and left, slamming the door behind him. Catherine stood in the empty hallway, her pulse racing. Nathaniel's words stung, cutting deeper than she'd expected. Maybe it wasn't a cage. But maybe it was. She had come here to reclaim something, control, power, a part of herself that had been buried. But now, standing in this cold, unfamiliar place, Catherine wasn't so sure. She had always thought that ownership of the estate would give her peace. But now, It felt like she had just inherited more problems. She needed something to anchor her, to remind her why she had done this. She stepped into the library, the old oak shelves towering around her. The place still smelled like dust and old books, familiar but distant. Her fingers brushed over the leather-bound books, and for a brief moment, she could almost feel the weight of Nathaniel's family legacy pressing down on her. Was she strong enough to carry it? Her phone buzzed, snapping her from her thoughts. It was a text from Nathaniel. The words were short, direct. "You can't escape the past, Catherine. You'll never truly have control." Her stomach dropped. He was right. Or was he? Catherine stared at the text, feeling the pull of the past and the uncertainty of the future. She had taken a step forward, but now she wondered, was it really a step toward freedom, or was she just falling deeper into a trap she couldn't escape? As the past threatened to swallow her whole, Catherine realized she had one choice left to make. Was she strong enough to claim her future? Or would she forever be defined by what she had left behind? Catherine stood by the window, staring out at the estate. Nathaniel's words echoed in her head. "You'll never truly have control." And for the first time since buying the house, she wasn't sure if she was winning, or losing herself in the process. Do you think Catherine's decision was a way to reclaim her life, or is she just digging herself deeper? Let me know in the comments below. And don't forget to subscribe for more twists in this story. Catherine stood in the grand hallway of the estate, feeling the weight of Nathaniel's words settle like a stone in her chest. It had been a week since she moved in, a week of trying to adjust, to find some peace in this place that had once symbolized everything she'd lost. But now, it just felt like a constant reminder of the things she hadn't figured out. She walked down the hall toward the old study, her footsteps echoing in the empty silence. The house was so still, so quiet. It felt like it was waiting for something, waiting for her to make sense of it all. The past few days had been filled with more doubts than she cared to admit. She hadn't been able to shake the feeling that maybe Nathaniel was right. Maybe she wasn't free. Maybe this estate wasn't the answer to her pain. Maybe, in her attempt to take control, she had just trapped herself in another gilded cage. She paused at the study door, her hand resting on the knob. But before she could turn it, her phone buzzed. The name on the screen made her stomach twist. Nathaniel. She almost didn't answer. It had been days since they spoke, and every conversation seemed to end in frustration, anger, and silence. But something told her she needed to hear what he had to say. "Catherine," his voice came through the phone, strained. "I need to talk to you." Her pulse quickened, but she said nothing. "It's about the house," Nathaniel continued. "I didn't want to do this over the phone, but I don't know how else to say it." He paused. "You're making a mistake. I can't just let you have it." She could feel her hands tightening around the phone. "I told you before, Nathaniel. It's mine now." His voice hardened. "You're not understanding. This isn't just about the house. This is about everything that's happened. About what you've done to us, to this family." His words felt like daggers, each one striking deeper than the last. She swallowed, forcing herself to stay calm. "I didn't do anything to you, Nathaniel. I left. I made a choice. And this place, it's for me. It's my way of moving on." His silence lingered, the weight of his unspoken thoughts pressing against her. Then, in a quieter tone, he said, "You don't understand, Catherine. This house, this place, it means everything to me. My family's legacy. I can't just let you tear it apart. I won't." Her heart was pounding. Was he threatening her? Or was he just desperate? She took a deep breath. "It's not just your family's legacy, Nathaniel. It's mine too. I've spent years trying to fit into your world, trying to make things work. But I'm done." "Catherine, please," he said, his voice cracking for the first time. "Please don't do this." His words hit her harder than she expected. She stood there in the silence, hearing the raw pain in his voice. She wanted to reach out, to tell him that she was sorry, that she didn't want to hurt him. But something inside her told her that it was too late for apologies. She couldn't go back to that life. Not now. "I'm sorry, Nathaniel," she whispered, the words coming out softer than she intended. "But I can't undo what's been done." She ended the call before he could say anything else. The silence in the study felt unbearable as Catherine slowly sank into the old leather chair, her heart heavy. Nathaniel's words still echoed in her mind, his plea for her to reconsider. She had wanted to be strong to stand her ground, but now sitting here, all she could feel was the weight of the decision she had made. She had walked away from him. She had chosen this house, this life, this moment. But in doing so, had she lost everything? Her phone buzzed again. It was another message from him. "You'll regret this." She stared at the message, unsure how to respond. Could he really be right? Was she making a mistake by choosing this? Was it possible that she was just running away from the life they had shared instead of building a new one? Catherine stood up, the air in the room growing thick around her. She felt trapped again, not by the house, but by the choices she had made. Could she really make this work? Or was it too late to change anything? Nathaniel's words haunted her, but the weight of the decision she had made pressed on. She knew she couldn't go back. But could she move forward? Was there even a way out of this mess she had created? As Catherine faced the painful reality of her choices, one thing was clear: she couldn't escape the past. But could she find a way to face it head-on, or was this the beginning of a deeper unraveling? Catherine stood by the window again, staring at the same view she had so many times before. Nathaniel's words still echoed in her mind, but this time, she wasn't running. She had a choice to make. And for the first time, she was ready to face it head-on. Do you think Catherine will find peace in the choices she's made? Or is there still a chance for her to fix what's broken? Drop a comment below. And make sure you're subscribed for the final chapter of this journey. The sun had just begun to set, casting a warm golden light through the windows of the old estate. Catherine had spent the entire day walking through the halls, trying to make sense of everything that had happened. She had spent years running from her own feelings, pushing them down until there was nothing left but emptiness. But now, standing here, she realized that it wasn't the house or Nathaniel, or the past that was holding her back. It was her. Her phone buzzed again. Another message from Nathaniel. "I'm coming to see you. We need to talk. Please." She stared at the message for a long time, unsure of what to do. A part of her still wanted to run, to avoid facing the pain that had lingered between them for so long. But another part of her, the part that had fought so hard to reclaim her life, knew she couldn't hide anymore. If she wanted peace, if she wanted to heal, she had to confront it. When Nathaniel arrived at the estate, the air between them felt charged with unspoken words, with years of hurt and longing. He stood at the door for a moment, just looking at her, as if he was waiting for her to make the first move. But Catherine knew it was her turn to face the truth. She opened the door and stepped aside, motioning for him to come in. He hesitated, then walked in, the tension between them thickening with each step. Neither of them spoke at first. They just stood there, caught in a moment that felt like it had been years in the making. Finally, Nathaniel broke the silence. "Catherine, I didn't want things to end like this. I never did." Catherine swallowed, her throat tight. "I didn't want this either, Nathaniel. But you have to understand. I wasn't living before. I was just surviving." His eyes softened as he stepped closer. "I know. I should have seen that. But I thought if I kept pushing you, kept protecting you, that it would make everything better." "You didn't see me, Nathaniel. You only saw what you wanted me to be," Catherine said softly, her voice breaking a little. "I needed to be seen for who I really was, not just as your wife, but as myself. And I never felt that here, in this house or in our marriage." Nathaniel looked at her, guilt in his eyes. "I'm sorry, Catherine. I see it now. I see everything I did wrong." Catherine took a deep breath, feeling the weight of the past years lifting off her shoulders. This was the hardest part, the truth. But it was also the most liberating. "I've made mistakes too," she said, her voice steady. "I thought I could fix everything by buying this house, by having something for myself. But I've learned that I can't fix everything by holding on to things. I have to let go of the past, of my own fears." Nathaniel nodded, a small tear slipping down his cheek. "Maybe we're both trying to hold on to something we can't have anymore." Catherine reached out and touched his arm, her fingers trembling. "We can't go back, Nathaniel. But maybe we can move forward, together, separately. I don't know. But we have to start somewhere." He nodded again, this time with a small smile, though his eyes were full of sadness and hope. "I'm willing to try. Whatever that looks like." For the first time, Catherine didn't feel like she was losing something. She felt like she was gaining something. Maybe not the life she had imagined, but something real. Something honest. Catherine turned toward the window again, her heart lighter than it had been in years. Nathaniel was still there, his presence a reminder of the life they had shared, and the one they might still have. But the sun had set, and a new day was coming. The future was uncertain, but for the first time, Catherine wasn't afraid of what might come. She was ready to face it. Could this be the start of something new, or would the weight of their past pull them apart? Either way, Catherine knew one thing: the next chapter was hers to write. Thank you for watching this story to the end. If you enjoyed this story, you will surely love the next one. It's as crazier and more intriguing as you can ever imagine. So do check it out. Click on the image showing on your screen right now to watch the next one.